Welcome to the Sports Card Talk Show. With Kevin Anderson and Lauren Walker, the Skull Brothers.
Welcome to episode 83 of the Sports Card Talk Show. We got Friday Night Lights interview going on today. Who do we got coming on tonight?
We have Eloy the Goat Flores coming on.
Awesome.
That's on YouTube. Instagram, he's Lakers Great 08, and his website is goatscardbreaks.com. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. Been jumping on a few of his auctions lately on YouTube, and won some great cards, and been having a really good time interacting with them, and thought, man, let's get him on the show.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to Eloy.
All right, man, should we dial him up?
Yeah, let's do it. Ring-a-ling ding-dong.
All right, we got Eloy on the phone. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So let's get it out of the way right away. Did I say it right? How do you pronounce your first name?
Yeah, it's funny because when we open cards, all of us, when we open cards, right, we'll get a person's name and we'll look at it and like, how in the world do you say that? And so a lot of us will butcher the names, me included. And so when I hear my name being said out there, it's like, is it Eloy? Is it Elroy? Is it Eloy? So it's actually Eloy. So okay. Eloy Flores.
All right, good. So I got that part right at least. Awesome, man. So we've been I've been jumping into some of your auctions, we have, and I've been really enjoying the back and forth that you have in there, but we'll get to your auctions in a little bit. We'll maybe start, I don't even know where to start because you have so many great things, but obviously there's big news that happened, and I know that you were a big fan, and I don't know if you want to touch a little bit on that, or is that all right? Or
yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a tough day. I mean, I grew up Southern California. My stepfather was military, so we moved around a lot of places. And one of the places we lived the most was in Southern California. We bounced around a lot of the Los Angeles area. And so I grew up a Lakers fan in the late 80s. I'd been to the Great Western Forum. I saw Cap and, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Worthy, all those guys. I saw them in person many times. And then I moved away and went to high school in Washington State, and they got I played for Oak Harbor High School, and then my senior year, my coach keeps on bringing in these high school highlight films of people around the country. They're like, hey, look at these guys, what they're doing around the country, and just kept seeing this one kid on the highlight film over and over every Monday. From Ardmore, Pennsylvania, and Lower Merion High School, and I was like, man, this guy is like legit, and so I just started following him from there, and shout out Coach Stone, wherever you are right now, thank you, calling me on to Kobe, and then just followed it, and then the draft day trade went down for Vlade Divac, and he became a Laker, and I was like, oh man, yes, I'm pumped. And I mean, I can go on and on. I mean, I don't know how long you guys want me to talk, but I can tell a whole story, man. And, I'm a teacher. We talk a long time. So I got to watch him play every time he came back to Seattle. I didn't live in the LA area anymore, but every time he came back to Seattle, I have 3 younger brothers, and it's something that I always try to take them to go see, right? I want them to go check it out. It's just one of the last times I remember seeing him play in person was my brother Marcus's birthday in 2008, and we go to Key Arena in Seattle, and we get there early like we always do to try to watch warm-ups and shoot-arounds and stuff, and we're watching Kobe just shoot around. And we're right down there on the floor because we don't have that good of seats, but we can in before the game, right? You can go down
right.
As far as you want.
Yeah.
And we're watching him shoot, and these Sonic guys are just ripping him, cussing him out, calling him names, you're garbage, all this stuff. And he just has a smile on his face, just shooting, right? He's shooting, just smiling. So he can hear it, but he's not acting like he can hear it, right? And, at the end of his warm-ups, he comes over to us. and there's a whole group of us there, and he sees us with all our Laker gear on. He's like, "Hey, how you guys doing? You know, glad you can make it." And I'm like, "Yeah, man." So I started telling him my story. Like I said, I'm a teacher, man. We talk forever. and so he's like, "Oh, that's cool, man. Appreciate all the support." And while we're talking though, like the Sonic fans are just right next to him, just in his face, cussing him out, screaming at him and yelling. And he's just carrying on this conversation. And I just thought that, like, for somebody to get cussed out in their face that close and just to have composure and just have a conversation normal with somebody else. And then at the last minute, right before he turns and walks away, he turns to the Sonic fans. He's like, "Hey, y'all were already going to lose." He's like, let me just get that out there. Y'all are already going to lose. He said, "But just because you're running your mouth, you're going to lose by 20. He said, "I hope all of Seattle is happy because it's your fault." It's your fault. And then final score, 111-91.
Oh, that's funny.
111-91.
That's an awesome story.
Kobe, if you go check out that game, he actually ended up getting double technical and ejected. I'm thinking, Kobe's Nostradamus, right? Like he said,
yeah.
Number 20.
That's funny.
Just a little bit more. The last game of his career, I'm at a national math conference in San Francisco, and my buddy and I are in the hotel room, and we were thinking about going to the Warriors game that night. We were like, no, I'm not going to go to the Warriors game. I need to watch Kobe's last game. And so we stay in the hotel room instead, and we watch the last game. We see him go for 60, right? And he has the introduction with the video and all this stuff. And then after the game, I just thought, and I sat down, and I just started typing a letter to him that I actually never sent to him, but I posted it on Facebook. I posted it again just when he passed on Twitter. Finally, it took me a couple of days, but I posted it out there, and it was just an outpouring kind of like of what he kind of meant to me and probably Laker fans all over the world. Yeah. My son knew I felt down for a few days, and just the kindness of the kid's heart. He drew me a little picture, and it's me and my son Brayson and Kobe, and he's got a little halo above him, and he's got a sun shining down, and so it was just amazing. But
you must be about almost
I can
7.
go on and on about the Mamba, but I should probably stop now.
right.
By that picture, you must be about 7 foot tall.
Right.
Let me raise my 5'9", 5'10" up, and yeah, I'm good.
Right. Man, that's awesome that your son did that. That's cool, man. It's funny how they pay attention,
I'm not a Lakers fan. In fact, I'm a Lakers hater. I grew up in the 80s, and it was always the Celtics and the Lakers.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a contrarian. I didn't want to like either of those teams, so I liked the Pistons, and I watched the Pistons fail over and over and over again to first the Celtics, then the Lakers, until they finally triumphed. So when our Kobe came, I was already not a Laker fan when Kobe and Shaq were winning titles. But the thing about Kobe is that, and what inspires people about Kobe is, Kobe had a lot of talent, but he got everything out of that talent. I mean, he was such a hard worker. He strived so hard, and that's inspiring. I remember on Sunday, Monday, hearing the news and just hearing the stories and hearing that, it makes you want to try. Like, it's like, what can I do better? And that's Kobe's legacy is get everything out of. There's so many players that, for instance, Shaq, his teammate. That was a rift between the two of them, was that Shaq didn't try his hardest, and Kobe made Kobe mad.
You're never gonna outwork him.
Right.
So you're never gonna outwork Kobe, and that's just a mentality that I think all of us can take in life, right? Is that if you work that nobody can ever outwork you in anything that you do. I think everybody's gonna be pretty successful, and we're gonna be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, let's maybe turn to a little bit about the card hobby and the collecting, and have you always collected, or like when did you get your start in collecting? Did you move away from it? Like, what's your story?
So I was born in '78. I remember first time getting cards at the grocery store was probably with my mom about 85, 86.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I collected, hardcore, just like all the kids did back then, and when I moved down to the LA area, a lot of us, collected cards and we were trading them on the playground and stuff. And then kind of got away, just like everybody always says, it seems like, kind of got away once you get a little older. But still buy packs here and there once in a while, but nowhere near what it was. And then probably about 5 years ago, really turned it back on. Had the career, had the wife, had the son, and started turning it back on. And then with the mindset of, this is something that I can get him and I to do together, right? Yeah. Eventually one day. And no thoughts of a business, no thoughts of any of that stuff. It was just, hey, let's get back into this, and I can get Brayson in it. It's something that we can do together and something that he can remember. And, and so that's what I wanted, and that's why I came back.
Cool, man. So when did the YouTube come into existence, and was it always like, did you jump right into auctions, or how did that evolve?
No, probably about close to 3 years now. I watched some card videos, but not a lot. I started watching golf subscription boxes. Right, so I'm a golfer, and they had some subscription boxes, so I watched those, and I was like, I wonder if I can do a box opening of a golf subscription box. So my first video, I think is my first video. People go back and find it. I think it's my son recording me, and I think he's probably like 5 or 6 at the time, and he's like, you can hear him in the background. Hey, are you ready?
Oh man.
And I'm like trying to give him visual cues to let him know when to start and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's really funny.
That's awesome.
And but that's where it started. And then I started watching some people talking about breaks. And I started getting into breaks myself, just buying up spots and checking them out and getting things. And but I was only buying PC team, right? At that time, I was only buying Lions, and then I kind of evolved. I was trying to get some of the bigger players and things, and then just from there, we met the card family community, and Snodzilla and Mad and Crazy Titans fan, and Big D and Cool Toes, and all these guys, right? And it's just, that's been a few years now, and it's just been, people talk about all the time about a card family, but that's what it has been for me. And it's just been like a brotherhood of cards, and it's just been, I don't know, that it's just flown wide open, and taking me places from the very first video of doing just a subscription box just for fun to all of this, and it's been great.
Yeah.
I got a question. You're a Laker fan. You live up in Seattle.
I know it's coming.
You live up in Seattle. Why the?
You live in Washington State.
Why the Lions?
I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Okay. So my uncle was a kicker, and camp leg. So before we started thinking about, dang, who was his uncle? Right? He was just a camp leg.
Okay.
But he kicked here in Washington. Ended up going to Vietnam, and when he got out of the service, he got stationed outside of Detroit. Married a local woman there. Ended up having an open tryout. Went to the Lions open tryout. Made the squad as a kicker, and was with them through the off season. I want to say late 70s, early 80s, and ended up getting cut preseason every time. It seems like. And then he moved back here, and he had all this Lions stuff. He had all these Lions gear, and I was probably 5-6 years old at the time, and it just kind of stuck. my cousin Dime Wild, who a lot of people know in the community, it's actually his dad, my uncle. So it's nothing like it was, he made it or anything, but it's just a reason why, right? We all have a reason why. And
I love that story, man.
Yeah.
He came closer than anybody I know.
and so it's like, Unc, you couldn't even make it as a kicker. It's like, where have you been? It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, right. That's funny.
That's the one job I wouldn't want on an NFL team.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure. Yeah.
You're expected to make the kicks, and when you don't, you are garbage.
If you make a normal field goal, it's like, okay, you're supposed to. If you make the game-winning field goal, okay, you're a hero. But if you miss any field goal, it's like, oh man, this guy's terrible.
Yep.
Right.
But if a guy drops a pass, we don't automatically say he's terrible. So.
Excuse me. So, just circling back to your YouTube. Why don't you talk a little bit about the auctions? Because we're relatively new to the community, and that's something that I'm learning. And I'm like, oh, people do this, and it's just kind of cool. And the first night I jumped in, I was like winning cards left and right from you, and I'm like, hey, this is awesome. But why don't you? Well, that kind of gives it away. But you do so much more, like the auctions, the mixer that you got coming up pretty soon, the personal breaks. I mean, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's kind of evolved. Mad and Crazy Titans fan, Bobby in the community. One night, I mean, we talk all the time and multiple times a day, it seems like now, but he's like, man, I'm bored. Think I'm going to go live. Think I'm going to see if I can sell some cards. And like, okay, so he went live and he had a In-Fact-2 auction. And him and I were talking later that night, and it was like, man, this might be something. So this was, I don't know, if I look back at my I keep all the records from every auction that I've done. I have books of them. But this is probably a couple years ago. And I was like, I think I can do this, because the inventory of cards that I have is pretty crazy, right? Just like I'm sure a lot of people out there. My goal has always been to teach for 30 years, get out and open a card shop here, and I think I have enough to do it. But anyway, I went on there and I was like, I think I can run with this. So Bobby and I talked for a little bit. And I went on and we promoted it up a little bit, and we got some people in there. At first it was like 10 people, I'm like, oh, this is fun. We'll just sell cards. And Bobby and I talked, and it's like, man, that did not go very well. as far as we were selling, I was selling cards for super cheap, because we didn't have like a starting value or anything. It was just like, hey, we'll just throw this out there, see what happens. People were bidding like a quarter, and then I didn't want to keep the card up there for 10 minutes. So I'm like, sold? And then like, after you're done, right, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they went for 50 cents. And,
right.
But, it's kind of evolved now to the point where I think it's been a pretty good, well-oiled machine. From that, there's been a lot of auction guys that have come out, right? I mean, stemming from Bobby and I mean, there's been Jimmy Guns, you have Up North, you have RSR, you have Deafness, you have Mike O. I mean, you just have BITG. I mean, there's just been tons of guys from this, and I kind of kid and joke around. It's like Bobby and I are like Belichick and Parcells, right? It's like our tree coming down. But I don't mean anything bad by it. It's just amazing to see all the different places that you can get cards now. You don't have to go on eBay and pay the fees and taxes, like all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
You don't have to be overcharged by Twitter and all that kind of stuff and whatever it is. You can come in there and not just get cards, but it's a place where people can hang out and talk, and people were talking sports, people were talking life, I mean, it's just been a ton of fun. And, looking back in those notebooks that I have, we joke about how we are selling Patrick Mahomes Prism rookie cards for like $4.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember I was in that night when you were pulling out the notebooks, and I'm like, oh, I should have told you, hey, pull out a notebook, man, and just rattle off some of those because it's crazy. Some of them, yeah,
Yeah, they're there, and it's just funny.
Yeah.
It's just funny to see the stuff. You know, I saw it was Patrick Mahomes 3 relic rookie card, right? I wrote it down. It's like $10. I'm like, what am I doing? Like,
right.
back, but it's the stock market, right? It's the
Yeah.
stock market, really, for
Yeah.
a lot of people. You know, you got the highs, you got the lows. You don't know what's going to happen, especially baseball. When I hear people talk about prospecting with baseball, I'm like, I have no idea. I'm just going to stick to the Dodgers and we're good. Like,
Yeah, your PC team, huh? Yeah.
Yep.
I'll say this about the auction too. I mean, I've got into a couple people's, and this is what I really enjoy about all of them too, is being able to go and hang out and being able to have a little back and forth within the chat, and
Oh yeah,
man,
yeah,
it's
we
fun.
rouse
And
each
then
other, you know?
yeah, and so many great cards are coming up, and the fantasy sports breaks that you did.
Yeah.
I mean, holy man, the basketball. I still remember you're like when the one with Larry Bird came up. It's a white guy. Whatever you said.
Yeah.
Oh, it's it's him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I kind of had a feeling that I knew who it was.
Yep.
But I try to keep myself hidden just like the customers. I mean, last night we pulled a Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yep. Right.
We pulled a Giannis. What do we have? Here's that Larry Bird. People didn't see it. It was a flawless on-card USA Larry Bird.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
That's so nice.
We pulled that last night. We pulled the USA from Opulence, Magic Johnson, my favorite player of all time.
Oh man, that was a beautiful card.
So it's been really fun, man. And like you said, with the breaks, you know, I used to do it where the auctions and breaks were separate, but you know, time constraints and all that stuff. It's like, why not just incorporate it together if possible?
Yeah.
And we have. I mean, we still do breaks periodically that are separate from the auctions. But a lot of times those fantasy sports boxes or those personal rips or the memorabilia that we've done, have been there during Friday nights.
Yeah,
So.
It was a blast because everybody's cheering for that person that bought into that personal break. It was awesome. Good luck. Oh man,
yeah.
it was like everybody was hitting with that person. It was a lot of fun.
You weren't able to see it, but I think it was Forkham. I was trying to look for the package, but I think it was Forkham. He bought the last 2 football boxes, and they weren't great. And I was like, oh, man, I'm sorry, dude. I feel bad. And he's like, what do you feel bad for? He's like, I'm the one that bought it, right? Like, I'm the
Yeah.
And I said, well, still, I don't want to see anybody like get, not what they think it's worth. And
right.
So,
yeah.
But
that's kind of the.
I've got a question that pertains to you. You say you're a teacher. Do any of your students watch your videos?
No, and that's they tried to at first, right? So I've coached high school football for 4 years, and I've coached high school basketball for 6 years, and then now I'm just doing middle school sports. I do high school tennis, but that's not really a sport. No, I didn't say that. No, I love it. But football players would come up, we're doing high school football. They're like, oh man, I can't believe that card that you got, Flores. And I was like, what are you talking about? What? And so I'm like, remember guys, you're not really supposed to watch my videos. Cause I try to still keep that boundary line.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I run a card club for my middle school. So they talk about all these YouTubers a lot. And we'll talk about that hopefully in a few minutes. But they tell me like, I subscribe to you. I was like, well, you better go unsubscribe. Like, 'cause I don't want any kind of crossover. Like, oh yeah, now we're buddies, we're friends. I'm like, no, there's still a line. We can have cool relationships. Yeah. But it's a teacher-student relationship or a student or a coach-athlete relationship. So I just got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, what did you want to jump on to about the YouTuber? You said that we'll talk about it. Let's talk about that, and then.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I run a card club for the middle school, and we started that at the beginning of last school year. And we had kids that were interested in trading cards and sports cards, and I told them, yeah, I said we can make that happen. And so people have been donating medium flat rate boxes, large flat rate boxes to this card club. And Brian Strand, Packers Cards 87, you guys know him as probably.
Yep.
He was really generous in helping to kickstart this because the president of our middle school card club is a big Packers fan, and I'm like, I'm not dealing with you, right? And this is a kid that was in my class. Now he's an 8th grader, but he's like, yeah, I got this. I got this YouTube channel that I found. His name is Packers Cards 87. And I'm like, oh, Brian? Like, I know B. And he's like, oh, my gosh, you know him? It's like it's a celebrity or something, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, I know B. We could talk. And so I messaged Brian, and I said, hey, I told him what was going on. And he's like, if it's cool, I'll send some stuff to you. He has his own, like, trading card, and he autographed trading cards for the kids and stuff. And he said, let me know when the package gets there. Give me a call. And so 2-hour time difference. He's at work, and I call him at 7:15 a.m. my time. So he's at work, and he's like, okay, hold on. Let me take a break real quick or early lunch, and I'll call you guys right back. So a couple minutes later, he is FaceTiming. He's having a FaceTime Q&A session with my card club kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're talking to Packers Cards 87. And so it was pretty cool. But
That's awesome.
The card club is awesome. I put like random packs of 25 cards, right? And I put football, basketball, and baseball usually. And then we'll have a kid who's like, hey, do you have any hockey or do you have any wrestling? And I was like, well, yeah, actually, Mark Williams sent me some stuff. And so they come in, they sign their name, they put what their PC team is, they get a pack of cards, and then we usually have a topic of the day that we discuss. So we do it Tuesdays and Thursdays. And last week we talked about retail versus hobby. And because the kids don't know, they go in there, they just buy whatever at Target or Walmart or wherever they find. And and so we talked about the differences between retail versus hobby, and we made like a list of pros and cons for each one. And then one time we talked about where you could find checklists and stuff like that if you can't go out and buy a Beckett, or you can't go, and I have total access on Beckett because of the business. And a lot of times they want to come in, it's like, hey, Flores, look what I pulled. You know how much it's worth? I'm like, well, it's worth as much as somebody's willing to pay for you. That's what that's what I always say. And but I said, but Beckett value, and I show them, and they're like, oh, okay, cool, thanks. And then I bring in soft sleeves and top loaders and stuff from the business here, and that way they can sleeve up their stuff and protect it, because a lot of them don't have the income, obviously, with the parents helping out and stuff to do that themselves. So
that's cool.
It's all based on donations and what I give from here.
Yeah, that's awesome that you do that, man. Keeping that hobby going with the young guys.
Try to.
Young guys and gals, yeah. So that was the other thing too. You do supplies on your website. Everything you can get into on your website, basically. Buy into breaks, the mixer that you got coming up, the fantasy sports breaks, the baseballs. So that's a great spot to visit too.
Yeah, goatscardbreaks.com.
Yep.
Dime Wild and I sat down one day and we were like, hey, let's put up some supplies on the website. Let's be a supply guy. Everybody has breaker guys.
Yeah.
Everybody has, where you can buy personal boxes, and we do that too. But let's see if we can be a supply guy. And a few years ago, probably maybe before you guys were into it, was Three River Sports Cards. He's a local friend of mine. His name was Andy, and he had a card business about an hour and a half away from here online, and he was big into our card community as well, but he had gotten out of it because he had got a promotion through his medical company, and he just had no more time. He's traveling all over the country, still a close friend of mine, and so we talked, And I wanted to make sure that I had his blessings to do the supplies because, if he came back, I don't want to feel like I'm stepping on his toes.
Oh, sure.
So he's like, yeah, man, go for it. Go see what you can do for the community. And my whole thing is, if I can get people to get a cheaper price, right? I do this to kind of support my own hobby.
Right.
But if I can do this to support my own hobby, then I'm good. And if I make a few bucks on the side, cool. I'm not looking at money. I have a day job, right? I teach, I coach.
Yeah.
But that's why Dime Wild and I, my cousin Steve, we were able to look at a whole bunch of different websites and eBay and stuff and kind of try to, I don't know if I want to say undercut the competitors, but just give people a better price, on supplies. So we have pretty much everything in stock except for things that are going to cost a lot to ship.
Right.
Okay?
Stuff that doesn't make sense, really.
We've got sleeves and top loaders and mags and all kinds of different stuff. But we just don't carry like the boxes, and we don't carry like the 8x10 top loaders. Sometimes we might some eventually, but there's not a lot of market for that right now. But the boxes, people always ask me, hey, do you have 3-row boxes I can get? Hey, do you have a 2-row shoe box? Hey, do you have like it's like a card house or something for boxes? And,
yeah.
And I was like, no, I don't carry those because they cost so much money to ship. Right? And
yeah.
I could, but you're better off going to buy it somewhere else.
Right.
Because the shipping is crazy on that stuff.
For sure. Well, man, I think we covered everything we talked about we were going to cover, and then maybe a little bit extra, which is awesome, man. We've been having
I told you guys. Keep talking.
No, man, it's all good.
We won't make fun of it.
we had a blast talking, but I think we just like to end with 3 quick questions, and then we'll bring the episode to a close. It's kind of non-card related.
Okay.
So I guess I'll start with what's your favorite food?
Man, okay. Now you're going to get me talking more. No, I'm doing keto. So I can't have a lot.
Yep. So
but,
be doing keto, what's your favorite, your go-to?
If I'm not?
If you're not, yep.
Okay, if I'm not doing keto, it's probably pizza and burgers.
There you go.
Chinese food's right there too, but
mixed right into it. Yeah.
Pizza and burgers, man.
Cool.
I mean, that's how I have to do keto now because of too much pizza and burgers, right? So,
right. I'm figuring out what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I can do keto, but yeah, I'm gonna have to do something because I let myself get away a little bit. It's harder when you get older too, man. I'm pushing a certain age, and it's hard to lose the weight nowadays. Yeah, I'm on the wrong side of 45. I'll just put it that way. Cool.
My question is, what's your favorite TV show?
Big Bang Theory. Actually, I'm not a person that gets into something if it's in the middle of it or say, hey, you should try Big Bang Theory. I'm like, okay. And then I went back and started episode 1, and now I think I'm on episode 9 a few months later. Season 9, sorry.
Season 9, okay.
Yeah, episode 9. No, season 9. So 8 years of TV in a couple of months. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's good,
I did the
man.
same thing with How I Met Your Mother. I had a student teacher, and so this was perfect. I just went in the lounge and just watched on my laptop How I Met Your Mother.
I loved How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
That's how the tax dollars are being spent, people. I just want to let you know out there.
When I was in 8th grade earth science, our teacher was a legendary football coach. They named the football field after him before he retired. That's all I do. Anyways, he would put on earth science videos and go back into into his own room and watch football video.
So the last...
Well, he was a legend in football, maybe not a legend in teaching.
No,
right. So then the last question will be favorite music artist.
I love Little Michael. No, I don't know. Gosh, that's tough for me. Man, y'all stumped me right there. Now, It is
Okay, how about this?
I go across all kinds of genres of music, right? Except for country. I'm sorry, my wife, right? But I've never got into country. I mean, growing up in Los Angeles, in the late '80s, I mean, shoot, my first concert I think was Public Enemy. Right?
Okay. Oh, nice.
So, I mean, that's where I come from.
Sure.
But I mean, and then last night, or a couple of nights ago, for some reason, I was just on nothing but different Queen live concerts.
Sure.
Just watching nothing but different live concerts of Queen. So I mean, the spectrum goes from one end to the other for sure.
Well,
Lecrae is really far up there for me right now. It's a Christian rap artist. Lecrae.
Yeah, I've heard of Lecrae.
Yeah, so I love Lecrae and what he does.
Cool. Well, you grew up like close to the Sunset Strip, so like Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue. I'm a rock head, so and then you're up in Seattle where Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden all got their start.
That's my cousin Dime Wild. You guys would have hit it off, man.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, man. Well, we'll bring the episode to a close. We'll keep you on the line for 1 minute and talk to you, but that'll bring episode 83 to a close. Friday Night Lights interview with Eloy the Goat Flores on YouTube. Instagram is LakersGreat08, and visit his website at goatscardbreaks.com. Thanks for joining us.
Skull Brothers out.
Appreciate it.